Hello, welcome to R Basics. In this module, I will show you how to navigate in RStudio. At this point, I assume you have the R binaries installed on your laptop, along with the RStudio interface. So let's begin. First of all, for those of you who are new to R and RStudio, RStudio is a more robust programming environment than the basic R GUI that you get as part of your standard R installation. Now, there are four sections, also called panes, to the RStudio interface. There's a source script editor section, the console section, the environment history section, and the plot section. I'll be showing you those in just a minute. But before we do, I want you to know that you can customize your pane layout. When you first install RStudio, you get the default settings. You can customize the arrangement and the appearance. So let's go there. So this is what you see as far as the default settings. With RStudio, you have at the upper left, you have your script editor section. On the upper right, you have the environment history section. The lower left, you have the console section, and the lower right, you have a section that actually has 5 subpanes in them: files, plots, packages, help, and viewer. So let's go ahead and show you how you can change the default settings. You go Tools, Global Options. Now here, note that there's a number of things here that you can change, but I'm not going to focus on this right now, but it's something you ought to look at, play around with. I want to focus on the pane layout. So you can change the sequence of the panes, like for example, if you wanted to move this section over to the left, you can do so. You can change the appearance. You can change the font size, and you can change the foreground background. Text mate is the default, but you can change it to anything else that's here. For example, cobalt will give you white letters over a dark background. Now, let's get into the script editor section. So let's go back to the slides. Now, you can type all of your code in this section, and that would be my recommendation. You can also write code directly into the console, but it's a bit harder to experiment in the console section. Now, I'm going to show you how to execute various lines of code from one to several, and then I'm going to show you also how to find a text string in the code and replace it, and how to navigate between multiple open scripts. So let's go back to RStudio. Now, let's go ahead and open up a couple of scripts. So there's two ways to do it. There's one, you can do File, Open File, or here I have a couple of scripts already set up. So I'll click on Test. I'll click on Script 1, and so I've got two scripts that I've opened up, and then I've got the initial one, which is an open space that's where there's nothing in it yet. Now, let's go to this script here, a very basic script. Let's if you want to find something, you just go here, and then you find, and then you replace it with something else. Very basic. Now, what I'm going to do here is show you that you can launch a script, like for example, in this case, script 1. Let me highlight all of it, and then I'm going to click Run here on the right, and it ran it. And when it ran it, what you see here in the console section, you see the actual execution of all the statements. And you see on the right, on the upper right, the history section shows all the statements that were executed, and it shows the actual the objects that were created and their content. All right. So let's go back to the slides. Now, at this point, it probably is obvious to you that that you're going to have to save your work. Now, there's two ways to save your work. There's one is in a project file, and the second is in a script file. A project file is, you use that when you're doing development incrementally and you want to save your work in progress. So all of your statements, your objects, your pane layout, your history are all saved. And when you do the save, the project is stored in a new subdirectory along with a project file. In contrast, a script file allows you to save statements to a file and to reuse them later. The script can be rerun by yourself or by anybody else who has access to it. So the script can be the end result of a project or done independently of a project. So, so let me just go back here. So in terms of saving, let's say a project. Let's say we had some statements here. We wanted to save it. We could do it here, new project, and we could save here, or we could go here on the left, file, a new project, and we could save through here. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, let's see, let me get rid of this, is now as far as saving a script, let's just say we had, let's see, let's just say we had a couple of statements here, and I wanted to save this. So you go File, and we could say Save As, and you would just save it in wherever you wanted to save it. Let's say I wanted to save it in that subdirectory. You save it with any name you want, and then would be end with .r. It could be a capital R or a small r. Okay, so that's the way you do that. Now, let's go now to the next slide. Now the console section, that's when you run your code in the script section, the code is actually executed and displayed in the console section. I think you've seen that already. Now errors in execution will be displayed, and also there's a history of your statement that you can access. So let's go back, and let me intentionally make an error here in your console. So let's just say I entered that statement, I misspelled, and you can see that you have an error right there. Now, say I wanted to fix it, and I could do it like with the history mechanism. Like I use the arrow, the up arrow, and then I use the left arrow, and then I remove the what I want to remove, and then hit enter again, and there you go. It executes it correctly. So let's go back now. And next I want to go to the environment history section. Now, when your code runs, the environment section shows the objects and their values that are stored in a clipboard. The history tab shows the lines of code which you have previously run. And I'll show you how to rerun a line of code. And I'll show you actually how to actually copy some code into the script section. So let's go back to RStudio. So let me just get in the history section, and let me take a simple line, and let's say I want to rerun this. So I click on it, double click on it. Okay, now I see it the lower right in the console. Okay, that's where it appears. Then you hit enter, and it'll rerun that statement. Now let's just say I wanted to move this same statement over here to this untitled script. So what I do is I just highlight it, and then I click on to source, and it moves it right on over. All right. Now let's talk about plots. Now I actually showed you how to where a plot is displayed. Now you can also export plots, and I'm going to show you some of the other tabs that you need to be aware of. So here was the plot that I created earlier. You can export it as an image, a PDF, or copy it to the clipboard and then paste it to, like, say, a Word document or a PowerPoint document. Also here you should be aware there's a Files pane. Now, I currently have it in a directory called R. You can navigate through your files by going up or going down in that manner, or you can use this over here, okay, and do it that way. Now, you should be aware that when you start your work in RStudio, you you should set your working directory. Uh, so over here, and that would be where all your files are stored at. So you go more, and once you get to the directory path that you want, you say set as working directory, and it'll keep you there. Okay. Now, what's also here you should be aware of is the packages. So these are all the packages that have been downloaded to this laptop, but they're not available for you. These ones are not available for use unless you click on them. So once you click on them, watch, I'll click on ABC, and what you see here is the statements here in the console that are involved in making it available for use. Okay. Now, let me then go to the help. Help is very important. You can you can type in pretty much anything you want here, and it'll, like for example, his let's say HistFD, and voila, that's what you get right there. Very useful. Now, let me go back, and I think I've gone through the basics of what I wanted to show you. So at this point in time, we're done with this module. I want to thank you for watching our basics. Uh, Please, there's more modules available in the R Basics channel. One that I'll point out to you right now that it would be good to follow up next would be creating scripts in RStudio. I'll get into more detail on how to create them and how you can use them. Thank you for your attention, and have a good day.